Food is important and nutrition is important for our general health and well-being. It's a well-known fact that, if you haven't got the correct food and fluids intake, that it can impact on your health, especially in relation to fluids. If we've got a lot of elderly ladies and gentlemen stay in the care home who are very vulnerable, and if they're not having especially the right amount of fluids within, it can have an impact on their health, especially in relation to UTIs. So if they're dehydrated, we must make sure that the elderly population are not dehydrated when they're in a care home. That's one of the biggest concerns that we have, that someone is dehydrated and open to all sorts of infections. In relation to the other aspects for their health and well-being, it's a very social thing, eating meals. We all sit around with our family and have a meal, or we go out with our family and have a meal. It's a very, very social aspect. It's one of the things that people seem to forget. And again, a lot of people that stay in their own homes, if they're elderly and on their own, that's one of the things that's the first to go. They will not eat. They're not happy preparing meals for one. So if we're preparing meals in here and it's a social setting, their intake tends to improve. I've had a lot of people that have been in hospital or living on their own in their own house, and they're not having a good intake for various reasons. They don't like hospital food, or they don't like cooking for one. However, you're sitting in a social aspect with your peers and everyone's eating. One of the biggest roles that I have in the care home is when a resident comes to stay here, that we get to know them very, very well. We get to know their likes and dislikes. We actually ask what they like to eat, what their preference is on a day-to-day basis, so that we are not making that decision and deciding what this cohort of people like to eat, because everyone's diet is completely different. We've also got residents that have specialised diets. They may not be able to eat the same things that you and I have. They may have allergies. So we get to know the person. We'll ask what their past history, what did they traditionally like to eat, and we will try and make sure that they are afforded that choice. In relation to the menus that we set up, we do things like we have this Strictly Come Dine With Me, where all the foods that may be available in the up-and-coming menu are chosen by the residents, and sometimes the relatives have input as well. So we sit in a setting and we have all the new things that are coming for seasonal menus, either summer, winter, autumn, and we will have a taster session. So the residents will taste, we tiny taste, not overwhelming them, and we will say, did you like this? And it's a yes, it's not so good, or it's a no. So on the basis of that, we'll create a menu for the upcoming months. The presentation of food within a care home is one of the things that drives me insane. I've worked in many different care homes, and it's the one thing I'll say that we do really well, is making sure that the meals are presented in a beautiful way, and I mean beautiful way, because one of the things people forget is you eat with your eyes. So you have to make sure that it always looks appetising. There's nothing worse than getting slopped. I mean, it may have been beautifully cooked and perfectly cooked to the right texture, but if it's thrown on a plate, who wants to eat that? You and I wouldn't eat in a restaurant, so why would I expect any of my residents to eat it? So it has to be presented well. You eat with your eyes. Again, we've asked, choice. What do people like to eat? So yeah, it's also about portion size as well. If you've got a lady or a gentleman that don't like big portions, why would you give them big portions that are overwhelming them? Especially if they come from an era where if it's on your plate, you have to eat it. That can be so off-putting. So again, making sure the portion's right, it's plated up correctly. It makes such a difference if someone is getting exactly what they require and what they prefer. In relation to textured diets as well, that's even harder to replicate, because it's all modified. So yeah, but you can still make it look appetising. You can still have distinctive colours on your plate. It can look like a sausage as opposed to look like a blob on a plate. You and I eat with our eyes, and I expect our residents want to do the exact same thing. The way that we get back of house staff to understand what's required on the floor is we get our kitchen staff to actually go and meet our residents, speak to them. We get all the clinical information when we do a pre-admission assessment. We also ask what the resident likes. Our staff in the kitchen are absolutely aware of the residents' likes, dislikes and allergies. On a daily basis, he will go and meet with one resident and say, how's it going? What do you like? Are you enjoying this? Is there anything else I can do for you? And he will memorialise that on his wee piece of paper, we've got a sheet that says, you know, my day type thing. It's pretty much resident outcome based. So if he goes to see Mr. A and Mr. A says, the food's great, son, but do you know what? I would like some black pudding in the mornings. Okay, we like some black pudding, and we will get that in. And that's person-centred, around what that chap likes, and we'll get it in for him. If there's other ones who may be like, do you know, son, your puddings are too fancy for me. What would you prefer? So he gets that information. So he's speaking with them on a regular basis. And I'm also going round and I'll sit with the residents now and again and say, what are you having today? Are you enjoying that? I can tell if they're enjoying it or not by how much is left on the plate. For instance, we had pizzas in before. Not everybody liked them. I don't know why. But again, they were taken off the menu. Spoke to the chef. I said, you know, and he says, I know these are all coming back. Why are they all coming back? It's like, clearly they don't like them. So it's like, all right, so it's one of those questions he would ask, are you not liking the pizza? All right, we'll take that off. What would you prefer? So it's about knowing the person, asking them what they like, and it's not hard to adapt your menu to what people enjoy. We're a 24-hour service. So again, not everyone wants to get up at the same time of day, not everyone wants to have their lunch at the same time of day. So we do kind of have set times as such. However, some residents are having a long life, so they can have their meals whenever they want, as long as we're getting the food and fluids on board. It's a 24-hour service. If you were in your own house, you would go to your fridge and have a wee snack. We've got a cafe set up where there's cakes and teas and juices and all types of coffees. And it's available 24/7. So the chef makes sure that there's nice cakes and biscuits and all wee treats that you and I would want to eat out our fridge. So obviously they're available for the residents as well. I would hope that all care homes replicate what we do in some shape or other. I think that we all acknowledge that food and fluid is an important part of a person's health and well-being. I would encourage them very much to seek out the answers from the residents of what they want, how we can incorporate that into everyday life to ensure that meals are seen as a celebration, as an occasion, that they recognise that if it's something that you and I wouldn't want to be part of, why would someone else want to be part of it? We would go to a restaurant and we would expect things to be served in a certain way. We would expect the best quality service, and that's what we should be doing for our residents, because it has an impact, as I said, on their health and well-being. If someone's miserable and being given food that they don't want or enjoy, why would we do that? We need to make sure that we're putting forward their choices for them and changing it as their palate changes. Keep asking the question, are you enjoying this? If you're not enjoying it, what would make it enjoyable for you? And just make it as best an experience as you possibly could. As a care home manager, I do monitor the situation. I do lots of mealtime observations. I make sure that when someone's going out to someone, it is the correct standard, it's plated properly, it's presented properly, and also kind of monitor what comes back and see why they're not liking that. Is there something we could have done differently? And that could just be about general portion size. We do monitor people's weight to make sure that the meals are calorific enough. We have a process in place whereby everyone is regularly weighed, and make sure if there's anyone's weights going up or down, that we ensure the reasons behind that. We recognise that there's certainly ladies who do not like to be weighed, and it would actually have a negative impact. So we are maybe fortifying food at point of service, making sure that you've got the calories. If someone's weight is going down, why is it going down? We'll look at maybe putting cheeses and creams and calorific things in, just subtly, that it's not overwhelming the dish or modifying the taste too much. Just subtle wee bits throughout the day. Again, we were talked about earlier on that you don't have to have your meal set at certain times. So we've got the cakes out there to make sure that they're always available. There's certainly a bit of Big Brother watching people's weights, but it's for the best reasons. And again, if there's someone whose weight has been compromised, they may have had an infection, their appetite may have went down, what can we do to make that better? And it possibly is like fortifying at the point of service and making sure our staff know that Mr. A, B or C, their weight has dropped a wee bit, so what can we do to make that better? And that's also informing the kitchen staff as well, so they will make sure the fortification is in place. Again, if you notice that someone maybe isn't eating well, again, that's one of the things you would perhaps look at. Is there anything oral hygiene wise? We have the dentist in on a regular basis. We're part of Caring for Smiles. We have a champion that again, she will promote Caring for Smiles. We also have we have good relationships with speech and language therapy. So if someone has changed in a way, they've maybe come back from hospital, they're not eating so well, you also have to investigate why that's happening. So you are looking at the oral hygiene, you are looking to see if there's a swallow issue. Does that facilitate food modification, or is there's a dental issue that could be modified, not modified, that could be looked at and investigated? Someone gets sore teeth. Again, if you and I aren't feeling well, we would need to look at the reason why. Is it, have I got toothache? You know, you look at all those things, making sure that people, especially if they're dehydrated as well, that's going to be an issue. Your food's not going to taste the same. You're not going to want to eat it. So we have lots of, it's like wee checkpoints throughout the day that you would look at to see why is someone's nutrition good or bad. If you're looking at something that's working particularly well, can we adapt that? Can we adopt it? So it's just looking at all the wee bits throughout the day, the opportunities throughout the day that you can look and say, you know, some such and such is sleeping all the time. Well, can we make sure that when they are up and about that there is food and fluids and wee treats that they will eat? Some people turn night into day, so is there stuff available during the night for that person? Because it routinely happens in care homes, but they still need to get the nutrition on board. So if it is at night, is there a snack box there? Can somebody go and make them toast? What can they put on the toast? You've got all the other wee things that should be available 24 hours a day, as it would be in my house or your house. Say someone's weight is compromised, and we have been monitoring it, you know, bi-weekly weights or whatever, and we notice. So there's step 5. We would routinely do that prior to. We would keep a food diary to make sure that what they're eating is actually, is there a problem? Are they getting enough nutrition in? Is there something else underlying? We would always go with food fortification, first line management, prior to going to a prescription of any sort. Nobody wants to be on a prescription. Food, something good in your mouth, something that tastes good, the social aspect, we would always go to frontline management. We would follow the must step 5. If someone needs nutritional supplements, that may be the case, but we would hope that that would be the case for a very short time, because it's not a natural thing, whereas eating food and enjoying your food is.